Before we get started with today's podcast, we'd like to ask returning listeners to leave us a rating or review on your favorite podcast platform, iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you really enjoy it, share a link to this podcast with friends or family who would enjoy hearing our weekly discussions about basketball and basketball culture. Now, on to the show.
Jim, isn't it amazing when Michigan can keep this game to a 19-foot, 9-inch game inside that three-point line? It's all there. Nice move by Steve Fisher here. Turn it into the 19-9 game.
What's going on, Barnett?
What's up, sir?
Not much, man. I am here social distancing and quarantining myself in Jasper, Indiana, where we have one case currently. So
makes me so sad, Meyer. It makes me so sad.
We've moved come so far.
We've moved into this new space, and you can't even see it. I can only send you pictures of it.
I have seen it, just from a safe distance.
It doesn't do it any justice.
I know. The same feeling. Oh, man. But that's all right, because we've got an exciting topic for tonight. I'm pretty pumped to talk about this one. I've had some takes about it already. I've rewatched it now again, and I'm waiting to see what your arguments are for this one. But we're going to talk about Above the Rim.
All-time classic. One of my favorites. I know you're going to hate on it. It's going to piss me off.
Poster on the wall for this one. Is this?
Hell yeah. Some games you play, some games play you.
So for your sports movies, is this like, do you have like a ranking in your head that you can think of quickly?
Man, I'm so bad at ranking, but I'd say my top 3 basketball movies in no particular order are Hoosiers, He Got Game, and Above the Rim. So it's up there. It's way up there.
Wow, amazing. Okay, so then I'm gonna throw it to you. I want you to set the scene. Like what is it about this movie? Maybe just a little bit about if people haven't seen this in years. What is the premise of this movie?
Well, I don't think that our audience listening to this will need a synopsis on the movie.
Yeah, not a synopsis. I guess just kind of, I don't know. What is it about
what made this movie stand out?
Yeah, exactly. Why are we talking about it, 20 years or 30 years after it came out?
One word. Can you guess?
I would say either soundtrack or Tupac.
Tupac. He steals the show, man. He's incredible. And if you look back, because I was kind of looking back when we were when I knew we were going to do this pod, and I was reading some of the stuff about the making of Above the Rim, and so it came at like a crazy time. So it was 94-ish, I think, for the theatrical release, maybe 95. And maybe they filmed in 94, but it was when Tupac was going through like all of his shit.
Wasn't he in jail, or was he? Or
he was in
out
jail,
of jail
for some of it, and so they had to work around his schedule for that stuff because he was in jail for battery. He was going through the rape trial, I think, at the same time.
Jeez.
And there was just like a ton of shit that was going on. But what's funny is Above the Rim comes out and basically gets shit on. Like, it's turned into this cult, has this like cult following now, and people loved it. But as far as critics, which fuck critics, right? They don't. I mean, that's not who Above the Rim is going to appeal to, anyways. But they pretty much ripped it. But none of them said one negative thing about Tupac and his performance. And on the contrary, came out and just said, like, this dude is amazing. This guy's it. He's one of the hottest, best actors right now because he was coming off Juice 2, Poetic Justice. And they were basically like, this dude steals the whole movie and is incredible, which is crazy because that wasn't his like main thing.
To back up with some stats, because I got to come in as the stat guy, 53% on Rotten Tomatoes, 83% for the audience score. So quite a difference there. Some
Rotten Tomatoes.
Some of the critics, though, destroyed it. They called it formulaic and a notch below blue chips, a slow-footed sea of pedantic blather.
Okay, listen. So
I was blown away.
8 of those words you said, I have no fucking clue what it means.
Such a critic statement, though, right?
Those are not the dudes that this movie was supposed to appeal to, and it was not their audience.
Yes.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
think about
it
early
too,
90s,
they did say, like, one of them said, "There's no denying Shakur's power as an actor," and I totally agree with you on that part. He has a certain magnetism and just presence on the screen that is just awesome. But I thought that his character, like, my problems rewatching this movie is just that I thought the writing was just not good. Like, I didn't think the movie made sense anymore. I thought there were so many things that drove me crazy about it. I think I loved
what drove you crazy about this movie?
So first thing, let's talk about how the movie opens. It opens with a one-on-one scene where a guy falls through the glass to his death, right?
Yeah, I don't understand why they're playing on a rooftop.
What is happening there? Okay, so here's the other thing that drives me crazy about this. Why does he take it so hard? Like, think about when Goose dies in Top Gun, right? You would say Maverick and Goose are pretty tight, right?
I've never seen that movie.
Okay, what about, have you ever seen Turner and Hooch?
Oh, I love Turner and Hooch.
Okay, Hooch dies. What happens, like, a couple weeks after that? Tom Hanks has a new puppy, right? This guy...
Compare this dude to a puppy?
No, well, okay. I said Goose first, but I'm just saying they loved each other, right? A partner duo that loved each other. This guy named Nutso, that's the guy's name. I looked it up. I didn't even know that. His name's Nutso, though.
Nutso!
Yeah. 20 years later, he's still, like, distraught about him. What was going on between those guys? So the movie just sets me off from the start.
Real question. Have you ever lost a good friend, like when you were young?
I mean,
close to one of your best friends?
Well, it was someone that I knew well, but never a best friend. So I mean, I kind of get it because, like you said, but I also think that
the way he died was stupid. I'll give you
that. And like the way he doesn't move on at all. I think he could have just you could leave that first part off and he could just be a failed basketball player and it would make more sense. It's just weirder that it's this one thing that he can't move on from. Like, I agree.
I don't know, man. I've lost a couple buddies that are super close to me.
And that's true.
It wasn't my fault.
But
so to think that if it was your fault, that's going to sit with you for a long time. And it happened during playing basketball. So he moved on with his life, but he didn't move on with his basketball life. He just stopped playing basketball.
Yeah, but I guess that's the point. I don't think he did move on with his life. He's just too strange, and like his one note, it just is. It's just weird. He throws me off the whole movie. He shows up and he's just kind of this weird.
You hate Leon's performance in the movie.
Yeah. I can't take him. Like, I don't really understand his, like, presence in the movie.
What about when he dunks on Kyle Watson in a corduroy jacket?
Yeah. I mean, I do love, like, it's weird. I just think that because of the origin of why he's doing everything he's doing, just something about that it doesn't ring true to me. Even if it was better explained, like if they showed him and Nutso being, like, best friends, but you know what I mean? Like, they
didn't have time for that shit.
I know. That's the point. So why bother with it then? You know what I mean?
Because
like,
you have to have the premise of the movie that this guy's going to come back. He's going to redeem himself by helping Kyle Watson in that game, and then he comes back and he, like, you know, is a father figure and shit. It's a redemption story.
Right. No, I get that part. But you could have a redemption story where you just make some bad choices of your own and don't make it to, you know, being a college ball player. Like, that's the whole point of it.
I think you're acting
getting him to college, not this weird Nutso side story.
That you have to have it though, because you have to have a reason that he is the way that he is throughout the movie. Without that, you don't have that.
I think it's just failed basketball player. Or you could have his own origin story where he, you know, made some bad choices, something like that. But it just, I don't know. I just think it was
the only part that doesn't make sense to me is why they're playing basketball on top of a roof.
Maybe
some New Yorkers can
email
panes? Us or get us on social media and let us know, like, did you guys grow up playing basketball on top of buildings that you could potentially fall off of, getting tripped or going for a rebound?
Why would you play there?
If so, that's really, really fucking dumb.
Why did they not just go to the park? Why not?
I never understood that part, but I do love the intro and the intro music. I couldn't help but
Oh,
notice your pain. It runs
yeah.
deep.
Yeah, no
Share it
doubt.
with me.
Yeah.
Soundtrack is ridiculous.
Do we want to talk soundtrack right now? Because I have that as a big like bullet point, and I think it's. I mean,
We can.
I.
There's so many good songs on there. I bought it because of Regulator,
Oh my
obviously.
God, I know. Like that's an all-time like classic, great.
But that was like so it's like Changes. It's like Tupac Changes. It's every white person's favorite rap song. It's
Well,
either Regulators or Changes.
fine, because I was like 14 or whatever when it came out too. So it's
No, I
like
didn't say that
perfect
as a
time.
negative. I think it's universally
Oh,
true.
got it. Well, I mean, but I love the whole
Great.
soundtrack. I mean, Big
Oh, the whole
Pimpin'.
soundtrack's
I listened to that
ridiculous.
today while the content in that almost as an adult made me think how was I able to listen to this? It was still the flow in it is amazing. And then they've got Afro Puffs on there and a couple
Lady
other
of
really good
Rage.
songs. Oh man.
You know what's crazy? So like Doggy Style is one of my favorite rap
Oh my
albums
God.
of all time
Yeah.
with Snoop Dogg, right? And that was like what, 93 or something, 92, 93.
Right in
And
there,
he
yeah.
let the Lady of Rage, a lady rapper, a woman rapper, open up with the first bars on his first solo album, which I always thought was amazing.
Yeah.
Her and George Clinton, which was every time I listen to it, I'm like, man, that's crazy that he let her hop on there first.
He seems like a guy though that's like that, right? He's laid back, confident enough. Like he just knows who he is. That's something I could always felt about Snoop. Like he was never concerned about what other people thought, and never seemed like he was unsure of who he was.
I'll tell you where the Above the Rim soundtrack, where it beats Doggy Style. There are no intros to the music.
Oh yeah,
Every
that's funny.
single fucking song on Doggy Style, you have to fast forward through like
That's
a
true.
2-minute intro. And it's not like they stop doing that. If
Oh
they do an
man, they
intro
used to
now,
love that.
you can click to the next thing and move on. Well, shit, people stream everything now.
Yeah.
They don't even the CDs, but that was before like the intro was its own track that
Oh
you
my
could just
God,
skip
yeah.
over quick. And then shit, we were listening to the stuff on tapes.
Oh my God, I know. Yeah, you'd have to really time it out, or you have to re-record. Did you ever re-record things? I guess I did some like mixtapes, like legit.
Me and
mixtapes.
Wes, going back to Regulators, me and Wes had a tape, or I should say Wes had a tape. We used to listen to it in the White Knight all the time. That's what he called his car, his old ass Cutlass. And he just had a tape that the whole front side was Regulators, and then you take it out, flip it over, put it in, and the whole back side was Regulators too. So he never had it.
Yes. Wow.
That was our
legit.
generation, man.
That's legit. He should have had changes on the other side. He could have just had both of them.
Changes didn't come out till Tupac died, though.
I
That was a few
know.
years later.
That probably would have been like a few years later then, right?
Yeah,
First
it would have
couple.
been. Yeah, so because it was 96, September of 96, I think. So yeah, crazy. But the soundtrack was legit. And I love the little Death Row logo that's on this movie poster that I'm staring at right now too.
Oh yeah, for sure. So speaking of Tupac though, I want to talk a little bit about his character. Tupac's amazing. We both agree on that. Do you like the character of Birdie in this, or do you think too that he is specific to this time period? Like, would this character exist in a movie today?
Birdie is awesome in the whole thing. Birdie and Mutah, the two dudes, are Motah, the two gangster dudes, played by Wood Harris and Tupac, obviously. That was Wood Harris's first role, which is crazy because he was awesome in it, I thought.
Yeah.
Goes on to play in Remember the Titans, obviously Avon Barksdale in The Wire, which is the GOAT.
Yeah.
And for him to get that role, I was listening to an interview. He said he got that role, and he hadn't even like graduated from college yet, from acting school. So, I mean, to think about that, and then to be matched up, like all of his scenes literally are with Tupac. To be matched up with that force and kind of hold your own is remarkable. So, yeah, I mean, I would love a Above the Rim type movie again. I like all that gangster shit though. You know that.
Yeah. See, okay, so I think that part of it is good, but I think that part of it too especially after seeing The Wire, I think what I liked about it when I originally watched it is that I hadn't seen anything like it before. So it seemed more unique and as authentic as I knew at the time. And maybe The Wire isn't as authentic as I think it is, but after seeing that and then going back to this, they seem to make them a little too like evil and cliche, if that makes sense. Like there is something. Yeah.
So here's the argument. And here's where The Wire is able to win out on all that stuff, because what you're saying is not false. I mean, there's some truth to it, but The Wire had how many episodes per season for 6 seasons, and all of them are an hour. I mean, to be able to, and that's why the movie is dying, because these Netflix and Prime and all these other Hulu and all these other production companies now are able to tell these just crazy stories with these characters having this awesome story arc, because they're able to tell it over like 200 hours of television, by the time it's all said and done. A movie, you have to wrap that shit tight in 2.5 hours. That's almost impossible to do. And so the movies are always every single movie is going to leave you feeling like you want more, or that it was rushed, because it is.
Yeah. I mean, I guess though, even more than that, at least you still have to write the characters so tight to make them feel realistic, and it almost doesn't feel real. Even despite like Tupac, when he feels the most real is when he does the least, right? When he's reading some of the lines, it comes off as too much. Like when he's just sort of, being a little jovial or kind of just maybe even freelancing a little bit, it comes off as way more authentic. There's this like shabby glamour to him that I think is maybe unique to them, because I wondered watching this now too, if athletes would even gravitate to a guy like that anymore. I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
100%.
You think so? Cause
absolutely.
Well, you think about like the way that things have almost reversed for these high school age guys. Like even though they were popular then.
Let me stop you.
Okay.
What Tupac would be in a 2020 remake of Above the Rim, what his character would be an AAU handler.
Okay. Yeah, see, that's what I mean. He'd be different.
Same fucking gangster, just in a different suit.
Right. But he'd be polished in a way different way. Maybe even removed more from
possibly,
the game.
But his motives would be the exact same.
Yeah. I believe that. I just think that like that's what I was saying. There's a shabbiness to this, like even him like walking up to him.
But this is a timepiece also,
yes.
right?
Yeah,
like this is early 90s. This is the burgeoning of gangster rap.
Yep.
Tupac is playing a person, but this persona that he's playing is also what he's putting out in his music, and it just fits. It just works for me anyways.
Oh yeah. I mean, he like I said, there's no denying the first thing I noticed, I was like, oh my gosh, that guy's freaking cool. Like
but my favorite character growing up was Marlon Wayans, Boogaloo.
Oh yeah, that was next. I was gonna ask you about him.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Oh my gosh,
he's hilarious. He's still funny in it.
What was the thing when we first talked about it? I said I think he's almost like too good to be with the other actor there. He just blows up. He's more charismatic, so it's almost hard not to pay attention to him, even though he's not a really main character. He kind of steals the scene every time he's in it. Kind of like Tupac.
I like him because we've all had like acquaintances or possibly even friends that were like him, that kind of can't get out of his own way, has some skill, is funny, is cool to hang out with, but you're always kind of on edge hanging out with him because you don't really know what situations you're going to get into with him.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but he's hilarious. So you like to hang out with those dudes because they're funny as shit, but they're wild as hell, and you know that it could end up bad, but you can't like pull away from it because he makes you laugh. Like he's hilarious in the movie. Like so many funny scenes.
I legit laughed at him several times throughout the movie. He just is so goofy too. He's like one of those guys. Who else? There's someone I saw.
I mean, like pulling up his hoodie to flex and show Kyle Watson his like triceps and stuff, like in the middle of high school.
He is. He's just so goofy. Have you seen the TV show Fargo yet?
No, I've heard good things though.
Okay, so we're watching it, and funny moment last night. Key and Peele are in it. They play FBI agents, and it's supposed to be a dark comedy, but every time they're on the screen, I laugh. And in the end, spoiler alert, something happens to them, and it's pretty graphic. But I laughed because they're just so goofy looking, And I think the same thing about him. Like he could have been the one that fell off the roof. I might have laughed just because he's just kind of that kind of guy.
Yeah. Was it the Wayans brothers? Was that the show that they were on?
Oh yeah.
Love that show.
Yeah.
I can't believe that I didn't remember it's called the Wayans brothers, but that show was amazing.
Yeah.
And Pop's on there. It was so goddamn funny. That's what is that? Not John Witherspoon, is it? It might be John Witherspoon. I can't remember.
Not sure.
Dude, the dad from Friday.
Oh yeah, I think
he's
it.
in there.
Yeah.
Hilarious. I love that show. I used to watch that show for hours on end. About the same time I was watching Above the Rim too. Man, I loved everything about it. So let me ask you a question. Because you're not a huge Above the Rim guy now in this day and age, but you liked it growing up.
Oh
but
yeah.
where do you put it? Basketball movies.
Man.
There's not that many great basketball movies out there.
No, it still would probably
You
be
would
up
probably
there.
put Blue Chips above it.
Yeah,
right?
definitely. Hoosiers.
See, I'm not a
it.
Blue Chips guy at all. Like Blue Chips didn't seem as authentic to me as Above the Rim did.
I just like the acting in it more. I think it's so much about the main character. I mean, we were talking about another movie that we might do in the future, but I think that so much is about that lead actor, and it didn't seem like I couldn't even. I guess the kid basketball player is the main actor in this, but I don't know who would you say the main character is?
He is.
Okay.
Because it's his story. It's about him. And then all these other guys are just like part of his world, and it's all about him trying to get to Georgetown, which that Georgetown shit is symbolic too in it. Because this is right around the year that Iverson was getting in trouble
and getting right in there, yeah.
He was getting pardoned. Yeah. And everybody knew he was going to Georgetown when this movie was being made. And so there's that little resemblance of Kyle Watson and Iverson. It's also about the story about John Thompson taking on another kid that was maybe from the wrong side of the tracks, for lack of better terms, and brought some baggage with him, kind of like Iverson, taking a risk on him and it paying off. Like all that shit is metaphoric to what Georgetown was at that time. And I love that Above the Rim used Georgetown, number one, but used real schools. That's the one thing that I cannot stand about He Got Game. I cannot stand about Blue Chips. Like Blue Chips is Western. Now they have Indiana in there, but their team is fake. He Got Game is just completely stupid with Big State and Tech U. I mean, that is the dumbest shit. It pisses me off every time. So at least they use like real colleges in Above the Rim.
I agree. Yeah, that does. I don't understand why you wouldn't. I mean, unless it's some. I guess do you have to pay for that licensing just to pretend?
That I don't know.
That'd be weird. Like, would they have to pay Georgetown to say that he's going to Georgetown without having any of their logos in there? Maybe. I don't know.
Well, I mean, their logos are all over that movie, though.
Well, I know, but I'm saying like. I don't know.
They're not selling shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sorry.
I don't know how any of that stuff works. And it might have just been an agreement with John Thompson, and John Thompson might have finessed that through the school. I really don't know. I don't know. That's all that licensing stuff, as you know from the stories I tell you, is always interesting.
Yeah, and probably, and you think it'd probably be even harder now because they'd maybe even want like a say in, how
the thing about
university
Above the Rim
is perceived, right, in the movie.
Right. It ends on a good note for Georgetown. The kid is seemed to be a good kid. Like you're rooting for Kyle Watson to get out of there the whole time.
Yeah.
Basically, you're rooting for him to go to Georgetown. Then he makes the shot. Georgetown wins. So it's like showing it in a bright light. The He Got Game stuff. Nobody wanted to put their name on Ray Allen walking in and having sex with two chicks while he was visiting there to a school. Like it's not going to be like. Look. Indiana University. This is what I did when I was at you know what I mean? Like,
well, maybe Louisville.
People weren't, but nobody's going to sign on for that. You want to try to do that stuff behind the scenes. We all know it happens everywhere, but you can't put your name on that stuff. So
no, definitely not.
That's what's kind of interesting. But I did love Pee Wee Kirkland as the
Oh
the
yeah.
Georgetown recruiter, which obviously is street ball legend at
Legend.
Rucker. That was pretty cool. And then some of the background shit in the movie too.
Well,
There's that one
it's
scene.
all shot at Rucker too, right?
Yeah, yep. But that one scene where they're walking down the street and it's Birdie and Tom Shepard talking, two brothers, just talking for the first time, and they stop in front of like a sports store or something, and you see that Reebok Insta Pump. You remember that shit? They had the CO2 cartridge.
Oh yeah.
That's in the background. I was like, oh my god, I almost forgot about that stuff. But how dumb was that you had to have a CO2 cartridge to pump up your shoes? Fucking Reebok, man.
What wasn't very efficient.
Very gimmicky though. Cool as shit for that time too.
I got a pair of those on clearance, and I remember using that CO2 cartridge like 2 or 3 times and be like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
I love that you had those though. I had the
know.
David Robinson 180 pumps. They
Did you?
it went up like halfway to my knee when I was like 10.
Those are the what's his name? Woody Harrelson is wearing those.
Yes.
And White Man Can't Jump.
Had 'em.
Those
Wish I
things
still
weigh
had 'em.
like 2 pounds each too.
Literally like 2 pounds. They were like wearing the Air Mags out there.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I did want to ask you too, just about the way that they present Kyle. Like, do you feel like even his presentation in this movie is kind of a cliche? I found some stuff online when I was reading through things, and they talked about how they felt like this was kind of like, it came out around the same time as Hoop Dreams, and this is kind of a cliche that was being pushed. Like, the only way for a black kid to get out of the inner city was to make it as a basketball player. And they felt that they pushed that narrative in this movie in a way.
But is it not true? I mean, does this not happen? Like, I mean, would it feel authentic if they were recruiting some cookie cutter white kid from the Midwest to go to Georgetown in the early 90s? And I mean, right?
Yeah. I mean,
that doesn't make sense at all. Like, I don't know what you want me to say. That like, it doesn't make sense to have it any other way.
I guess again, they didn't make, maybe that's part of like the Kyle character. Like, he's not dynamic enough. Again, he's the main character in the movie, and really all we know about him is this singular focus to get to Georgetown, and it's just kind of this.
So
weird,
that part seems
the weird setup for
bit.
him too. Like, that would never have happened where his senior year they're maybe or maybe not gonna take him, and
right. That
was kind of weird.
Quick writing, because there's a scene in the movie where he talks about, like, if I don't get this letter from Georgetown, which, number one, a letter doesn't mean shit. We all know that. You get a letter, it's a scholarship offer. He would have taken visits, and we know the recruiting game now.
Everybody got letters.
Right. For the sake of not everybody got them I never got one from Georgetown.
Well, not from Georgetown. Yeah, I would have fallen over if I got one from Georgetown.
No doubt. It would be framed in my house.
Definitely.
But the whole thing is around this letter, and like, if you get a letter, then you get it, you're automatically have a scholarship offer or whatever. But anyways, he's talking about that with his mom in the kitchen, and he says something like, if I don't get this letter, I'm gonna have to go to community school or something like that. And it's like, well, if Georgetown's recruiting you, I'm sure there's some other D1 big time schools that will take you if Georgetown doesn't want to spend a scholarship.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's just quick, lazy. Gotta progress the storyline type thing, but they could have done a better job and cleaned that up a little bit.
And I think that's kind of where I land at the end in this movie is just that it came off as maybe a little too quick and lazy. Like, it had some points that could have made it really good, and in the end, it kind of falls like an okay. I didn't hate rewatching it, but I didn't love it like I did at the time. I think it just meant more to me in the moment, like, because of the cultural window that it gave me at the time. Whereas I just don't need it for that anymore.
To me, it's far more rewatchable to me in my day and age now, where I'm at now. Like, I would choose Above the Rim to rewatch over Hoosiers now. And He Got Game too. I would throw He Got Game in there. So I would be more likely to sit down if I wanted to watch a basketball movie to either hit He Got Game or Above the Rim than I would Hoosiers, and I'd probably play Above the Rim before He Got Game.
Wow.
And I don't know if that's nostalgia. I'm sure some of it is the love of Tupac. Obviously, I love Marlon Wayans. I love Wood Harris. Like I love all the components of that movie. I really do. And He Got Game, the way it's directed, and we'll get into He Got Game too, but He Got Game, the way it's directed, there's some weird cut-ups in that movie too that kind of annoy me.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one in a long time, so I'll be excited to rewatch that one.
But yeah, I love Above the Rim, man. Like, love it, love it.
Well,
I was very impressionable back in 1994, though.
Oh
too.
man, there's like I said, I don't want this to come off like my Kobe takes a few weeks ago. In the moment, I 100% love this, and it's not that I don't like this. It's just that again, I think that the window into that world I just don't need anymore. You know, there's so much other interesting media out there like The Wire, where if I was going to rewatch something, I think, and I had to recommend it to someone else, I'd tell them to go watch that first if they haven't seen that 10 times out of 10 before I'd tell them to go watch this. I'd tell them to listen to the soundtrack from this.
Well, no shit. The Wire is the greatest TV show of all time.
Well,
like,
I'm just saying.
Not, okay, like, hey, real quick, why don't you go watch, 400 hours of The Wire because you'll love it, as opposed to sit down for an hour and 45 minutes of Above the Rim.
You could watch 2 episodes of The Wire. I could pick out 2 episodes of The Wire, and you'd get so much more out of it than watching this for 2 hours.
Maybe not. Maybe if you know the context of it, but you're not going to pick the first 2 episodes of The Wire because most people give up on The Wire after 4 or 5 episodes.
Yeah. Or you could.
I hate those people.
I'd make a short edit of Hoop Dreams and tell people to go watch that too.
Okay, so I watched Hoop Dreams during this quarantine too. Hoop Dreams is phenomenal, and I hated that shit when it came out, and I watched it. My parents took me to the movie theater, bored shitless, Didn't care about it. It was too reality TV. Now we're used to reality TV, so now I'm I like to know about what happened to people, but shit, I was watching Hoop Dreams and I was looking up what William Gates and Arthur Agee were doing now, and you still cheering for them now,
Talk about should have been a TV show. Jesus, that would have been an amazing Netflix TV show. Like, imagine 10 episodes of that.
No kidding. I mean, it was a little bit before its time, but I mean, it got really good.
Oh yeah,
it received a lot of praise and really good reviews.
We could do that one too.
Yeah, Hoop Dreams would be awesome to do. It's just a different format altogether. I've watched a lot of movies, man, since we've been in shit.
Quarantine. People understand.
I could not sleep the other night. It was about 2:30 in the morning, probably because I have coronavirus, and I don't really have it.
I hope not.
I feel like every egg.
You better not.
Got it. Shit, I have it. But anyways, I watched Van Wilder. Remember Van Wilder?
Oh yeah.
And forgot that Quentin Richardson, Darius Miles, and Michael Olakande were in it playing for the
I did not remember that either. Yeah. Oh, Lord.
And I'm like, oh, shit, this is awesome.
Van Wilder. I really need to. We need to get you a new playlist of movies to watch here.
Van Wilder is amazing. I love Quentin Richardson and Darius Miles back in the day, too. I got the kick slam right in front of me right now, too.
I can't wait for the Van Wilder HVS Classic.
Oh, I would do that in a heartbeat. It's great. That's like peak Tara Reid.
Hey, there's a basketball scene in it, so we're good.
Yeah, there is. What else have you watched since you've been quarantined up there in Jasper, Indiana?
I told you we just did Fargo. That was 10 1-hour episodes, so that's pretty intense.
Yeah.
We're also watching. Have you seen the Tiger?
No, the Tiger Effect or some shit like that. I cannot wait to watch it. It looks like the most white trash shit of all time.
Oh, no. Well, wait. Which one are you talking about? This is about like a guy that raises tigers legitimately.
Yeah, but then also goes on is killing people and shit.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the guy.
Yep. Okay. That's amazing. You definitely need to watch that.
We'll start it tonight.
All
and
right.
then I thought I would find a VHS player and play this Steve Alford All-American workout I got down here.
You got to stay in shape. I've heard that's key to beating this thing. Exercise.
Yeah, well, I just exercised for the first time since New York today about diet.
Well, Steve Alford's better. My mother-in-law told me that she had broken out a Richard Simmons VHS. So,
oh my gosh!
At least you're not there yet.
I do have a serious question. When are we going to get the Steve Alford shirtless poster down here for HQ?
We'll get it.
Like
maybe
this is the number one thing that coronavirus has fucked up in my life is not getting this poster down here to hang in new HQ.
That'll beat away the coronavirus too. I heard the coronavirus can't come near that poster.
Not that hair either.
That's right.
All right. Well, you got anything else?
I think that's it.
All right, brother. Appreciate you.
Yep.
Yep.